I'm Scott McDaniel. I'm the Tech Director from Battleground Public Schools. We're going to talk to you about gamifying professional development. I will clarify one thing that Rachel said. We're not experts. We're not amazing. We're not brilliant. This is our first year of doing this. And honestly, it was a great experiment, and it's one we're going to continue with because we did find it to be very successful. A little bit about me. I am historically a teacher. I started off knowing I was going into education. I did the high school scholarships to go into education. When I finished my bachelor's degree in history, I decided I'd take a job working in IT at Hewlett-Packard. I didn't do that because I love tech. I did it because I didn't want to flip eggs anymore at Denny's. If you've ever flipped eggs, you understand, especially at 6 o'clock in the morning when you're too young to have gone to sleep at a reasonable hour. I'll leave it at that. So I had the great experience of working with an individual who happened to be a friend of mine who said, you're not just going to move computers at Hewlett-Packard, you're going to follow me and you're going to learn every single thing I do, and then you're going to be doing it. So wonderful experience as an educator who wasn't an educator. I've been in Battleground for 20 years. Before that, I taught in villages in Alaska, and I taught in North Portland, which are remarkably similar as far as the demographic and as far as the problems that you're going to see with kids. So I got this great comprehensive high school gig sort of thing going on, and then I got a great multi-age 7th through 12th grade village teaching experience, which was amazing. After flying around in little planes for a year, that's all it took, I decided I don't want to die for my work, so I came back to Battleground. Sadly, that actually was something that occurred a lot, and so Alaska's a wonderful experience, but there's a lot of scary things going on. So I'm going to turn it over to these two individuals to go ahead and talk about themselves.
So my name is Cassandra Tinsley, and I am new to EdTech. This is my first year as an EdTech coordinator at Battleground. Before that, I was actually an art teacher, and before that, I was in museum education. And so I kind of had a roundabout route into EdTech. And one of the pieces that got me going was using virtual reality in the classroom. That was one of my pet projects, and I worked with Scott to pilot that program in my classroom, and it really got me passionate about integrating technology into kind of all areas, and the kind of rest is history. I got going teaching others how to use tech, and then got this position and worked with my colleague here.
Yep. I'm Tyler. Before I get going, I'm going to point out that we have the slides right here for you to get to, and there's a Padlet down here for you to drop in questions as we go. I'm going to tell you that so you can go there because I'm not as interesting. I am in my 6th year in Battleground School District. It's my 2nd year in our EdTech position. Before that, I was an ELA teacher at the 7th grade level, but I was also part of our Google cohort, which is kind of the precursor to our one-to-one initiative, and then I was in the pilot program of our one-to-one initiative, so I've been with this from the very start. And our PD was gamified, and with this, we started. Where is the volume?
You got to start that over.
Yeah, we got to start it over.
Sorry.
Well, that's close.
Is there
Okay.
no volume?
Is there? I don't see any volume over there, do you?
Nope.
And is the audio cable connected? There's a separate
Yes.
audio.
It is.
Let me see the microphone.
Cool.
Oh, of course, now it works.
So that's unplugged audio. Let's go old school. Okay.
Hold it near your speakers. Socialists.
Keep going.
That's a bummer.
Is there a turn captions on the video?
Mr. Body threatened to give my wife's name to the House Un-American Activities Committee unless she named them. She refused.
Okay, so this is one of those learning moments in technology, right? Our audio is failing us, but just the past couple weeks we've been captioning. So can we start that over so everybody? You need to hear the socialist part, and this microphone's flaking out too. So.
Of course.
Where were you typing that, Rachel? Were you typing it through the projector? Trying to?
Supposed to be.
Socialist tour videos.
Okay. I'm going to get help with the audience.
We could just narrate it ourselves. We'll just get past it. but-
It sounds like you have more videos.
True, we do, yes, thank you.
Now it sounds louder. But we use this clip to start our gamification process because this leads into one of the very first tasks we have them do. And the whole theme for our process was clue. So this clip ends. I can't control it right now. I just run the idea, so you have to do it. The clue clip ends with them saying the police are going to be here in such and such a time. So with that, we had them do an activity where they had to basically sign up for all the stuff we wanted them to do within that time period. So there's a little gamification to it, but we'll explain that later.
Yeah, we'll just try and start them right at the right time. Then it'll be really disorienting for everybody. So, trivia question for everybody. Who can name all of the characters in Clue? Raise your hand. Come on. Somebody try. You, try.
Mrs. White, Colonel Mustard, Reverend Green, or Mr. Green, someone with Peacock, Scarlet, and Professor Plum.
How many was that?
She got them all?
That was all? Wow.
Oh, that was bad.
And nobody in here is like a hardcore board game geek, because we were expecting, well, mostly Cassandra was expecting somebody to go, the board game or the movie, and which version of the board game? Okay, yes, we know. It's okay. We have issues.
So there's more opportunities. And what you see when you get the trivia question correct is these were the badges we gave people as they took our PD courses with us. There's 3 different badges for each course we had, and they got lanyards that they could wear them on, and they put them on their desk and all sorts of fun stuff.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay if you could just run the slides for us, too. Clearly, we're incapable of running technology. No comments from my staff. Don't. I don't need to hear from you either, Dan. So an overview of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about game design principles. We're going to talk about our theme, which was a really difficult task for us to solve on our own. We're going to talk about a thing called Zunos, which is the platform that we chose to use this year.
Sorry.
Then there's some tasks and modules. So we're going to lead you through how we structured the game and how we built it. And then we're going to show you the leaderboards, talk about that, and talk about some of the ways this has innovated our professional development in ways that we didn't anticipate.
Good enough? Right.
Wonderful. Okay.
Okay. Click it back over here so I can control it again.
Yep.
You got to click it though.
Okay. The question of why gamification. So how many of you have been in front of teachers training? Okay. How many of you have been in front of teachers training where they came in and they're like, God, I can't wait for you to tell me what you're going to tell me. So everybody in here is honest. I like that. So we've seen all different kinds of teachers at all different levels. And there's some stereotypes that we could make. You know, you have your elementary school teachers come in and they're just happy about everything because they're elementary school teachers. And I guess if you're around little people all day, it would make you happy. Unless it's being away from the little people that made you happy, same thing. And then you have your middle school teachers who they're attentive and they're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea sometimes. And then you have the ones that are taking notes on paper. They're taking notes on paper. And then you have the high school teachers. And what do high school teachers do? They are arms crossed. Yeah, you're not going to show me anything. Okay? These are bad stereotypes, okay? They're bad. I get it. There's some wonderful high school teachers that are like, yeah, all right, and then, you know, taking notes and that kind of thing. So we were at a point where we were past the early adopters. We were past the people that were on, like what Chris Hesselbein was talking about, the innovators cohort that he had, the people that wanted to change education. They were super excited. They wanted to do something different. We were past that. We seem to have found our critical mass of that, and we weren't getting as deep as we wanted. We're starting a one-to-one program, so now a lot of teachers that had never bubbled up to the surface were suddenly going to have devices in every kid's hands that those kids took home, brought back, that kind of thing. So we wanted to make this more engaging. We wanted to have fun. We wanted them engaged, and we wanted them to have fun. And so with that, we clicked.
So we gamified, and if you're not familiar with it, what it is you're just taking those game design elements of whether it's a board game, video game, a game that you play with kids in the classroom, and you just put it into a non-game setting, such as a whole lesson, a whole unit. In our case, it was our professional development. And it's designed to help increase the flow, which is their ability to be like present in the moment and engaging with it. Improves ownership, agency, ownership, motivation, and overall engagement. And some of the examples that you might be familiar in the classroom is just like the teacher versus class when they keep the score on the board, the hash marks, seating chart scoreboards, learning badges, students setting goals and monitoring their progress, tracking, and role playing. So those are just some of the ones that are just teachers are oftentimes doing and not really realizing that they're gamifying the classroom in that way.
Okay, and starting. Not really sure what to do there. So some of the inspiration or research or whatnot that we came across is very exhaustive. There's tons of stuff out there to deal with gamification. And so I wanted to put up some of the ones that we thought were particularly important to us. Number one, Jay McGonigal. If you haven't read or watched Jay McGonigal on TED, you need to do so. She's crazy and she's funny. She was a keynote speaker here at ACPEnw several years ago. And then if you weren't able to attend that, you missed out on a pure gem. It was like her TED Talk, but in person, and then you could go talk to her about stuff. She wrote a book called Reality is Broken, about the importance of games and gaming, and not just tech games, okay? We're not talking about your Xbox players or your PC gamers or anything like that. We're talking about all games. Her book is great, extremely readable, super better, an amazing game that she developed for her own health. I'll leave it at that because it's really wonderful. She is the Director of Game Research and Development, I believe is her title, at a place called the Institute for the Future. I would really like to work there because the name just sounds really great and cool. John Seeley Brown is my personal hero. I guess a lot of people call him JSB because that's cooler than John Seeley Brown. John Seeley Brown was the chief scientist at Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center, the XPark. If you're not familiar with the Palo Alto Research Center, these are the kids that invented things like the laser printer, the mouse, graphic user environment, a lot of the internet standards that we rely on today. What else? Anybody familiar with park work? The internet, TCP/IP, yes, exactly. So we wouldn't be able to do the things that we're doing now if they hadn't have done their stuff then, okay? So John Seeley Brown was one of the people that helped lead some of that. Wonderful book by him. I really encourage you to read it. It's A New Culture of Learning. It's amazing. If we could get him as a keynote, that would be perfect.
If you're confused why the words World of Warcraft are up there, it's because that he said he would, what do you say, employ and hire any really hardcore World of Warcraft gamer over anybody that's coming out with like a 4-year degree, because of the drive that is required to do that. So.
Two really important people. I believe the same year that Jane McGonigal came here, Chris Hesselbein did a session. Chris just talked about his innovative professional development in Lake Oswego. I believe his title is Innovation Strategist, which is a job I want. When I first read that, I was like, I don't know what that is, but I want that job. Now I know, and I still want that job because it sounds way more fun than being a tech director. And John Meehan, I'm not sure where he is, but John Meehan, you'll see him referred to a lot on Twitter. If you use Twitter, have gamification hooks, people that you follow for that. He's done some really great things with gamifying their whole professional development model. And beyond just tech, they have a very gamified structure for everything they do. And he works for a small private school, I believe. So really great people. There's tons of others, but I won't bore you with that because obviously I'm in a hero worship session right now. So I love all these people.
Well, and in some of our previous gamification, we both extensively gamified our classrooms when we were teaching. We used Classcraft as the platform in our classrooms.
I did a lot of breakout EDUs. I did Play the Game, which is based off of the video game Overwatch. At the end of the game, there's the really cool thing people did, and we just did it where kids were able to nominate kids for their Play the Game within the classroom the other day. We used superheroes for table grouping and role playing.
And I had kids, so Classcraft, I taught K-8, and Classcraft is really for 4-8, 5-8. So my younger students, I still wanted to gamify for them. And so they designed their own superhero at the beginning of the year. And each time we leveled up, they leveled up their superhero and they added something to it. So at the end of the semester, they essentially had a comic book of their superhero that had gained all these abilities and different things. And then they made a digital cover for it.
Okay, talk about gamer types. And this is part of some of the game design principles. How many people are familiar with Bartle's taxonomy of gamers? Oh, excellent. This is perfect. None of you know what kind of person you are yet. We're going to teach you about this. So Richard Bartle did a study analyzing types of players in MUDs. How many people know what a MUD is? Okay, the old people, they raised their hand because we know. They had to look it up. A MUD is a multi-user dungeon, text-based sort of world that you can explore. So think World of Warcraft with no graphics whatsoever. Yeah, okay. And what he came up with is there's 4 different types of gamers, okay? And these, it's differentiated between these 4 types of things that are of interest to people. One is the ability to interact versus act, okay, a solo versus a social sort of experience. And then interacting with the world or with other players. Okay, so what you come up with is 4 different kinds of people. Starting off at the top, your killers, okay? This is really violent. When you do this with kids, sometimes teachers will change that to gladiators. I've seen that referred to that way at some point. I personally don't, it doesn't bother me, it doesn't offend me. But maybe that says something more about me. Killers want to act upon others, okay? They would like to dominate. They would like to win. In first-person shooters, they want to kill you. These are the people that kill you and then humiliate you. And if you're a gamer, you know what that means. And they want people to know that they're really good at that, okay? They want to be recognized as, wow, that guy's a badass. Yeah.
I'm sorry, before you continue, are we talking about what type of games you like, what type of character, or just what type of
the thing that motivates you? Think of this as a gamer personality test. Okay, so good question. Thank you. Moving across, achievers. These are the people that want to have a lot of points. They want to level up. They want awards. They want achievements. They like that. And they are going to do things where they can earn the most possible, have the coolest weapons. Okay, yeah, I can do this. Okay, so that's what's motivating them to be successful. Down in your bottom left, you have your socializers. These people like to talk. They like to talk a lot. They like chat rooms. I'm sitting here making fun of them. That's not very nice of me. But they like chat rooms. They work in teams very well. This is very important for games like World of Warcraft. They do like to communicate. Okay, they enjoy that social experience, and this is why they come to games, is to have that community. Okay, and down at the bottom, these are your explorers. These are the guys and girls that like to find out what's going on in the world. They want to investigate it. They want to find the puzzles, the Easter eggs, the secrets, anything like that. And they will also find the holes where things break. Okay, these are the kids that find your glitches and find ways to break your system. If you gamify, they will try and break your game. That's okay. They're really helpful to you. Okay.
So, is it correct that sometimes when we see a quadrant, the upper right is the magic quadrant, right? You're trying to get positive and positive. This to me seems egalitarian. It's not.
This is actually, that's a wonderful question. Thank you. No, this is egalitarian. All of these people, all of these types of gamers are important to you. Okay? They're just different things that are going to motivate your learners, whether they're adults or kids. Okay? So that's all there is. None of these is more important than the other. Okay?
They're essentially like learning styles. Game effects.
All right. Everybody has a thing. A thing.
A thing.
Get your thing out. That sounded.
Get your electronic
Device.
So, is that recorded, Rachel?
There's your answer.
And it's tweeted.
Login breaks down an ACP.
So go to the link at the top, bit.ly Bartle ACPE. That's BARTLE ACPE. Okay? We're going to give you
A few minutes.
1 minute to do this test. 3 minutes to do this
And then
test.
you can share at our results
Padlet.
right here, our Padlet, which is a bit.ly by just / gamer wall.
Okay.
So I was, as you're doing this, I was an explorer / achiever.
Were you?
Yeah.
That was what I was. I'm more of an explorer.
That doesn't surprise me.
I know.
I
I like the
was
puzzles.
At UK site, is that correct?
Say again?
Yeah.
Goes to the UK?
Yeah, a UK site.
Watch the cybersecurity, I want to make sure.
Yeah, it does go to a UK site. There's a lot of different examples of this test online. Silence is so wonderful. It's been 1 minute. When you're finished, look up at me so I can get an idea of where we're at. If you're not finished, don't look at me. Don't look at me. Even though I'm talking, don't look at me.
On the Padlet, when you're posting, please put your name under the type of gamer you are.
Whatever you like.
Yep.
Actually, thank you. Wonderful question. If you would prefer to use a nickname or a handle, go ahead and do that. We will use some of the cybersecurity techniques that we've used to track it back to you anyway, and then make fun of you in front of the group.
Pull up your stats.
Pull up your stats,
Theme.
social security number, mortgage value. Like every single one of them. Why can't we get this out front? How we doing? One more, almost. Don't forget the captcha at the bottom. Bartle me. It's okay if you're torn between the two choices. Just grab one, especially if you like both of them. This is not a scientific study.
Are we just going with the one that has the most?
Yes, yes, put the one that has the most. We don't need all your percentages. Yes. We getting there? The captcha's not working?
It worked for me.
It worked for you?
Me too.
Safari's not working.
Safari's not working?
You can't prove you're not Chrome.
Really? Okay, well maybe that tells us something about you. Okay.
Or just about Safari.
Or everybody tried? The captcha worked?
67% left. You're 67% left.
Killer.
Yes!
3 killers.
Or killer.
There could be only one.
Ideal.
You say what he says his real long name is in that, because it's
How we doing?
long when he's done saying it.
We good? Go ahead and finish up. If you haven't yet, you want to kick over to it really quick? Can you? Oh, you don't have it up.
Mostly Explorer, but
All right. So here's where everybody is. Wow, that's interesting. That actually is. I didn't just script that. Number one, there's far more killers than I thought. Bad Boy 77. It's okay that you're a killer, bad boy. It's okay. Nobody's going to make fun of you. Okay? It's also interesting. So the achievers, I have an assumption that most people are achievers. Okay, maybe that's just me.
Equal parts killer and achiever.
Excellent. One socializer. That is a sad, sad place to be for you. You're all alone.
He's still playing Sims.
I'm making fun of socializers again. I can't believe I just did that twice. Explorers, though, that's really interesting. So you're the people that want to find stuff. You're the one that likes secrets. So people that are, if you're willing and you're an explorer, whether you put it up there or not, raise your hand really quick. Okay, look around. Look at your people. Your explorer people. Okay? All right. Your killers. Raise your hand. All right. Watch out for them. They will attack themselves really quickly. And then our achievers. Awesome. I like you people. You're great. Let's go find big stuff. Okay? All right, so why do we have you do this? Why would we care? Yeah,
Well, we're motivated by different things.
exactly. And why do I want to know that?
Why would I want to know?
Why do I want to know it?
As a teacher?
Yeah,
Well, because some of us will be motivated by the challenge of learning something new.
Exactly.
They want to take what's
Okay.
going and do something with it.
okay,
Some people just want to compete with other. It doesn't matter what the thing is, as long as I win.
exactly. And you'll see somebody like that in the video that we have at the end. You'll be able to pick her out. It was actually quite entertaining. Another reason that we might want to do this with our students or with our teachers is so that we make sure we're balancing the types of tasks we put in front of them. So not only will we know what's going to motivate them and they get to know what motivates them, we can make sure that we balance it. Actually, if you read Bartle's paper, it's fairly short and it gives some really great, hey, if you are losing your killers, try adding this. And it's very well written, maybe 8 to 10 pages total. Very readable. Extremely funny. There's very weird geeky politics in the mud world out there, so be ready for that. You might be shocked. So it lets us balance what we're doing and make sure that we have something for everybody. Again, I didn't expect as many killers, and I expected, well, we're in tech, we're in IT people, so the socializers, that is, thank you. You smile at everything. You don't laugh at anything, but you smile. I'll take that. Let's go ahead and move on.
So, trivia, who can name these 4 video game characters?
Or the game it came
Or the
from.
game they came from.
Go.
Halo, Sims,
Halo, isn't it?
You're already wrong. That's
Doom.
right.
Doom.
Doom. Okay, so you got Sims.
Mario, and Pokemon.
All right.
That's not
Not Mario.
Mario.
It's Toad.
Code. Does anybody know the game though? It's a newer one.
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Well done.
Doom guy. How many people thought that was Halo? Yeah, I did too, actually. I didn't remember it, so. Okay. Mikey called out something, but he doesn't count.
I'll just print my own.
How do you know each other?
I don't know.
Never seen each other in our lives.
All right.
So again, our decision to gamify professional development is we wanted something unique. We wanted to be different. We wanted to be strange, goofy, have fun. We wanted to respond to the teacher's needs. They do a lot of the sit and get, and they never like the sit and get. Even when they tell us they like the sit and get, and I do believe that they do like it to a certain extent because not everybody can lie that well. But yeah, you go ahead and lie to me. That's fine. But we wanted to respond to their needs. We wanted to make sure that they had and were getting what they needed out of us. Okay, and we wanted to be able to differentiate things better. Okay, and you'll see what we're talking about when we hit the differentiation later on. We thought this would be good with our ed tech workshops. We began to plan this last summer, and actually the spring before we started having all-day sessions, trying to figure out what are we going to do to reinvent PD for us? What are we going to do? And we worked our way into that.
And we really had to jump on it when they changed how our PDs looked at the start of the school year, when we could no longer do full-day workshops for staff, except for the one-to-one was the only thing we could do. Where previously we had people coming to us for classes on Apara, Google Classroom, Google Docs, video production, blogging. We had a whole catalog of courses, and then they got cut back, so we really had to transform it using this, along with some other stuff that you'll see later.
Yeah, we went through, we're still in a period, I don't know how many of you don't have this issue, but there's a sub shortage in Southwest Washington. I'm assuming that's everywhere because nobody wants to be a substitute teacher, I don't think. And we were told we can't have more than 20 subs out of any of the buildings at once. We have 900 teachers, so that tells you what our shortage is. We could have days where 17 people were gone and 5 of those positions weren't filled. We could have there were times when we could have 50 people out of the buildings and everyone would be filled. It was sort of a bizarre situation. So they just started axing us. They're like, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. And now we have to fight for every minute we can get during the school day. So we wanted to take it outside.
So, the benefits of gamification?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you switched the slides. Again, engagement, the accessibility of the workshop. You'll start seeing our structure and how that worked, and hear from some teachers about what got them through the different challenges. While working in this situation, in this scenario, in this world that we developed, it allowed the trainers, Tyler, Cassandra, and at times myself, to move around the room and work with individual teachers and help them progress through the things and the challenges and the tasks that they wanted to tackle. So we had all group times, and then we had times where we were breaking out and spending considerable amount of time working on some fairly high-level stuff, not just here's how you create a class in Google Classroom, but how do I want to totally change my classroom management for one-to-one? How do I interpret some of the EdTech standards for the state of Washington, which are the ISTE standards if you're not in Washington? And again, we just wanted this to be fun, okay?
So, a glimpse of our professional one-to-one development. They were 3 full-day workshops. We did 2 cohorts, and we met with them in a full-day session, like we said earlier, and then they had the opportunity to meet with us outside of that for a one-on-one meeting, which they could get additional talk hours for, dangling the carrots, getting them coming in. So the progress for our teachers was tracked through our digital learning platform, Zunos, which Cassandra's going to talk about here in a minute. And we used, as we said earlier, we used the board game Clue to gamify all of our training, and especially our one-to-one trainings where it was kind of all rooted in, but it extended out into some digital courses that we had as well. And now our plan is to gamify everything to some extent using our theme of Clue, but there's talks of revamping it for next year. You know,
we did with that theme, just so you know, we'll talk about that next, but the naming of it was really critical for us, because if you have Tyler on your team, the titles he might give to different things might not make most people happy, because initially he wanted to call it Get a Clue, because, yeah. Okay.
1 year in being EdTech kind of jaded me, so.
Yeah, you were so nice beforehand.
So the theme for your gamification is very important, because it is kind of that fun piece, the engagement piece, the hook that gets everybody into it at the beginning, and having that fun theme that goes all the way through, that you can weave in through your PD all the way from the beginning when you're kind of onboarding and doing some of the basics of how this is going to look throughout, and then making it consistent and working in that theme all the way is really important. And so coming up with that overarching theme that unifies, that brings it all together, was really important. And we had Clue as our theme. We wanted to have something that was accessible. We'd come up with, we wanted it to be game themed, but video game ideas at the beginning, we thought we might lose some of our more resistant learners that might not have a connection to video games, and so we thought that a board game that was more universal might reach some of those resistant learners. So Clued into Tech became our theme that we were able to work throughout the whole thing.
And everybody loves the movie Clue.
Yeah, so it was nice because we also had the movie to pull from and the actual board game.
So some of our gamification aspects that we did, our very first one was inspired by John Meehan. I believe if you click this one, nope, that's later, we'll bring you to. And this was a little game via slides where each slide was directing them to a place that would they have to regularly visit. So like
we'll go more in depth.
We'll go into depth on that, but like my example is like we needed people to share their Google Docs with us so we could see their work and direct them further if needed be. And the previous year, I would show how to get a shareable link to a Google Doc like 15 times. So we decided we're not going to do that again. We're going to put it in here as one of the tasks for our little game, following the storyline, where they would learn how to do that through video. We did Breakout EDU in one of them, where they had to solve who was the murder and who was blackmailing who. It was Scott. We did a include and detect digital citizenship and device safety. That's always the biggest concern going one-to-one is what can the kids do, what can they not do with the device, who's in charge of it, all those one-to-one questions you get. So we designed a Google slide presentation that was like a really fancy hyperdoc where each one of the rooms brought you to a new place with a scenario that we've actually experienced with kids doing. And then we had our Clued and Detect video that was our hook. And despite Scott's begging, we're not showing it.
Thank God.
There were costumes
Thank God.
as our characters.
So it was fun,
Great.
but we used
Shameful.
that was shared in the Zunos platform, which was used to track where they were through the gamification process and the learning involved with the one-to-one movement.
So again, it's important that you keep consistency and that you reference your theme throughout, so that they kind of always have this piece to remind them and to connect the game elements throughout the whole thing. You're embedded throughout, and that it can be kind of related to the content. Like as a teacher, you can relate your gamification to your content, or it can be related to gameplay, but it doesn't have to be. It can be any theme that you want, just that you keep it consistent and try and relate it as much as you can throughout.
Yeah, consistent and purposeful. So getting a clue, clue to text. So gamifying your onboarding introduction during the startup days was huge. That's what we did with the John Meehan presentation. So if you click the getting a clue below here, you can see, and I think we'll pop it up too as well, just to walk through real quick. We have the time, don't we?
30 minutes.
We'll just show like 1 or 2
Makes
slides.
sense.
So give it up for Slides Carnival, by the way. So introductory slide. So we have our hook here that has the video, which we could probably watch now that we have audio working on the second slide.
Yeah, we'll skip
We don't have time for that, but
So
I think we need to see the movie.
It's on our EdTech channel.
yeah.
It's buried.
So we really try to involve teachers with tweeting, for example, and that was one of the things that, like, why do we always, it's a great way to connect people, find the resources out there. So the first task on this one was that they click on the logo and they go sign up for Twitter and tweet at us. And then the next one, they find out what type of gamer they are, or no, they find out what clue character they are. And then the suspect profile, find out what type of gamer you are. Then detective notes, they were meeting together and discussing in a Padlet, sharing their thoughts and questions during the presentation. Then the last one was we were just patient throughout and they could come talk to us whenever. And this is what John Meehan does on his syllabus day, is this, getting the kids into Skyward, Remind, having them interact with the syllabus, all those housekeeping things in the startup days he does with this.
thank you.
Yep.
So Zunos, we were looking for a system that would manage the leaderboard for us. The intention was for something a little bit more automated because we're going to have a lot of challenges, a lot of tasks, badges, points, that kind of thing. It worked for what we wanted. I don't want to pay for it again. It wasn't that expensive in the grand scheme of things, but I really don't want to pay for it again. I don't know if I've said that. There are some great free tools that have been developed out there. Point right back to one of the inspirations that we had is Chris Hesselbein. InsertCoin.org is his website. He has a lot of great resources. Tyler and I have wondered how he scored that domain name. So he must have got that really early. But InsertCoin.org, he has, I think, 3 different kinds of leaderboards.
I believe this game type's killer, so.
Yeah, it probably is killer. Just take a look at that. Yeah.
So this is what our Zunos game dashboard ended up looking like. So one of the benefits of Zunos was that you could personalize it and fit it to your theme. So we worked with a graphic designer, happened to be my fiance, so he worked with us. They give you the measurements for everything that fits in with their platform. And so we were able to personalize it specifically to our theme, which was nice. And so this is the dashboard. It has a progress bar. You can see I have done a lot in the program, but that's your like engagement. So it has the progress bar. You can see there's little progresses around your courses, achievements, and quizzes, the leaderboards, and then all the achievements that are available are below all the badges that we've made. And so this was kind of home base, and then they would access courses from there.
All right, next trivia question. What are all the weapons in Clue? You had to have seen this question coming. Who Googled it? Brad.
You mean like just on the,
So-
rope, candlestick, knife, wrench, revolver, lead pipe, candlestick.
That's it. You got it. There were 6. And you said candlestick twice. You get a chip, and you don't get it thrown at you. So,
You guys were naming them off too.
we got coins. Throw the
Most
coins
people are
around.
going at once.
Yeah. Okay, good job. Okay.
So yeah, now we're the checkpoints, kind of like the actual pieces of our Zunos, and breaking things down into what people actually did in our gamified platform. And so our workshops, we translated those into Clue rooms, and those became our courses. So when they clicked on that courses button, they had a list of all their courses that were a Clue room, and then the name of the course that they could take. We ended up focusing on blended learning because the one-to-one program was extensively with us in person, but a lot of the extra courses that they could do were online on their own time, with some of that one-on-one piece with us as well. So there was that combination, and then again, connecting, reinforcing the theme. And then one of the things you'll see in the video too that the teachers really enjoyed was that they could choose where to go in the courses outside of the actual workshops in person, and they could pace themselves and work at their own pace. And so those were 2 of the big pieces that the teachers really enjoyed in the workshops. If you went to the bit.ly at the beginning and have the slides, the word workshop is actually a clickable link that will take you to a Google Sheet that was our planning for this. And so it has a lot of information on how we broke out our workshops and the badges for each and all of those.
It's big.
If you forget where all these clickable links are in here, find one of those explorers, because now they're going to go click on every single thing in this presentation, and they'll tell you where it is because they like you to know that kind of thing.
And I'm Explorer, so I made it kind of hidden. So within each workshop or course were the modules that they needed to complete. You can see there's the nice little progress bar that fills in when they have completed it. Sometimes it wouldn't fill in when they do it, and that made some of the achievers a little bit upset. We'd have to kind of refresh it, make sure that they had the progress bar complete. And so they had all the separate pieces. Some of them had just one task inside, some had multiple if it was a big piece that had different items. So each module had the evidence pieces that they needed. So we thought about what they actually had to do to get their achievement, to earn that badge, to level up. And that was what was inside each module. And so some of the other options for doing this outside of the Zunos platform, Scott mentioned the insertcoin.org. They have some great ways of using Google Forms to do that, and then using Google Sites. And so that might be something that we look at in the future for moving in that direction.
Okay. Next.
Next level's you.
It's still you.
Yes.
Why was the next one me then?
We wanted to hear you say that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Slow. Yeah. So Leaderboards was another piece. This was actually really nice in Zunos because it was all automated for us as they completed their work. They could move up and down the leaderboard. We had two different types of leaderboards for our achievers and our socializers. There was individual and there was team. And again, these are some other options that we have seen used. So the next one is a bigger picture of the individual. So it shows your stats at the top and then the top of the leaderboard. And so again, you saw I was 4% completed. So, but I am higher than.
No, I was 47. I'm ranked 47.
I think I have like 4.
Want that? I did sit in the back farming some of the easy tasks, just so you know, because I'm an achiever.
And then we also had a group one. So our teachers were placed by grade level in school, and so they could see working together where they were on the leaderboard. So as a grade level team, they could work together to move up as well. And then we created all of our badges and achievements to go along, and these are leveled out. We had our kind of basic level badges and achievements for the intro basic courses, and then we had advanced achievements as well. And these ones automatically gave you points when you did the work, and these ones were approved only. So to reach that advanced level, we had to kind of approve your work before you would earn those badges. And the word badges is a clickable link that will take you to a Google folder with all of our badges in them, so that you could use those as references to make your own.
May I ask a question? So do you link the badges? I know that, like, we're not sure that extrinsic motivation is the right way to go, right? For at least for younger students. But like, if I'm a teacher and if I get to go first at the lunch line at the in-service or something like that, like, is there any, like, do you get anything other than street cred with the badges?
It was just street cred at this point, yeah, as much as we would like to.
I like the idea of being able to go first.
So in the leaderboard, we would give out some swag for the highest at each training, and then they can pin their achievements to their profile. So that was something that the achievers definitely did.
They also on their email
Yes.
Signatures too.
Right. We got a lot of swag from different companies. We get stuff sent to us all the time. And when a couple of them found out we were doing this kind of thing and we were giving things out, they're like, hey, can we give you 150 t-shirts? Sure. Yeah, I think that's okay based on state auditing laws.
There's like 5 boxes of t-shirts still.
Yeah, in my office. Yep.
500 fidget spinners.
Thank you to Micro for the fidget spinners.
So another thing that we did to Gamify throughout the school year was our 30-day tech challenge. We were at a Google Summit back in like October. I was kind of bored hearing it, but then you started talking about this 30-day tech challenge. I was like, that sounds amazing. So spiraled, we got it moving. And so what it is, this is clickable here, by the way, if you wanted to go to our website and see all 30 days of the challenge. So it went from November to the end of the first semester. It was a little more than 30 days because we wanted a lot of the teachers that did it to finish it. So each day, the teachers were encouraged to interact with a new challenge with some of the technology tools we had that day, or not that day, that are available within our district, and to enhance their learning and best teaching practices. It was completely self-directed. If they wanted to, they could reach out to us and we could come out and work with them in a one-on-one setting. But for the most part, it was completely self-directed. They could earn up to 15 clock hours just by completing this, as well as getting more clock hours for working with us one-on-one. So it kind of gets them the double dip, which was a big motivator for some of them. The game design elements included competition, ownership, goals, motivation, and just overall agency. And when they were done, they got a really cool
smaller version.
Chalice. Yes.
Yeah, but they did
That-
earn a trophy.
And we awarded those in front of their classes, and the kids were really excited because their teachers had shared, hey, I'm doing this. I'm going to try these things in class. I want you to tell me how it's going. So it kind of changed what was occurring in their class, and when the teacher won the chalice, the kids were like jazzed. You know, this middle school kids mostly were jazzed, you know.
It was not an easy challenge. It was a big thing, and it ranged from, you know, get in there and organize your drive or your Gmail because you haven't done it in the last 6 months and it's probably a mess. So some of it was just kind of nice little reminders to do that, and some of it was you're going one-to-one or you have devices in your classroom, you need to rethink how your classroom is laid out because the whole rows doesn't work with Chromebooks right now. So it was lots of different challenges that way.
And so we had a weekly Flipgrid check-in too that all the teachers could see. So we're connecting them that way. And then we had a weekly YouTube video shout-out for what the teachers had been doing that week and then what was upcoming in the next week. So those are kind of other ways to connect with the socializers. and
All
other-
designed to be used on their own and with students at the same time. So here is a quick video on it. Let's hope the audio works.
So these are some of the teachers that completed the whole thing.
4 teachers did the whole thing and like 20 something did.
A big enough amount that they got clock hours.
And it made it a lot more fun. The other thing that I really liked about the tech challenge is that you could do it in your own time. You weren't at a facility where you basically felt like you'd have to do it right now. You were able to, you know, do it when you could do it. And then also using it in your classrooms as much as possible. And basically going back through and seeing how it worked, how it didn't work, and how to make it better next time.
I loved it. I didn't have to get a sub. That was, I think, the best thing. I could still do what I needed to do it at my own pace. I was able to do it in my classroom. I could do it on prep, and I could plug things in and try new things. I thought it was a really great thing, and I could see ahead as well as what was past, and I could build on some of my old lessons to create new lessons based on what I'd learned.
Actually, what motivated me the most was probably being able to use these things in the classroom. Each and every challenge that you guys had for us, it was always nice to see how I could incorporate it into my classes. So that's what kept me going, is knowing that these are going to help my students be successful.
The prize at the end. No, I got a cool 3D model. I think just knowing that this challenge was going to improve my teaching and how my kids related to the lessons I was trying to teach.
Well, several things. I really wanted to do the challenge. I saw that as skills that I knew I needed and wanted. I had heard of some of those formats, but I hadn't used them very much. And then I'm really a person who likes a challenge. I like to finish what I start.
I think the most challenging part of the process was probably some of the things that I felt were needed to be planned out in advance, well in advance. So making sure that it was part of my lesson planning and intentionally making it a part of my lesson planning instead of just like plugging it in to say I did it. I think that's really important that you are intentionally planning it into your lessons.
The most challenging part of it, I think, was making it fit at the right time.
It was the time to work on things along with all my other teaching responsibilities. I would. I thought the format was easy to follow, and you had a lot of support along the way. I would really enjoy that.
Yes, I would like professional development done this way in the future, at least for some things. I don't feel like I always have to sit and get. I like to explore and enhance my learning in my own way, on my own time, and I think it's beneficial to be able to do it in the place where you're going to be using that PD. I'm using the tech challenge in my classroom, therefore I should be doing a lot of the learning within my own classroom so I can put it to use right away to test it out. And I just think it's kind of the way to go. I love having webinars and some PD as long as we're understanding and everything is clear and focused. I think it's a great way to do PD.
So the 30-day tech challenge, when Tyler first came to me, I was like, yeah, I guess we could try that. That'd be fine if they're willing to do it. Tyler sent just sort of an interest survey. Would this be something teachers would like? And I think we had about 15% of the teachers in the district, so over 100, say, yeah, I would like that. And on that survey was a really key question. Would you also like us to come to your room? Would you like to have us out to help you with any of this? And almost all of them said yes. So if you've ever been an instructional coach, getting into a teacher's classroom can be the hardest possible thing, okay? Because they are worried and scared that they're going to look dumb in front of the techie people that know how to do all this. And of course it's easy for them because they're a techie, and you hear that kind of thing. And so there's a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of nervousness, even though they are teachers. Even though I was a teacher, I'm an administrator, so I'm a little bit scary somehow. I'm not sure how.
We're still considered teachers.
Yes. So it was really interesting that it was this idea, this little 30-day tech challenge, that actually jump-started our coaching again. Okay, people were suddenly much more willing, even the ones that didn't do it. It's been fascinating that this was the spark that did it.
So another thing that we did, I was actually referenced and I learned about at the Google Summit thing again, was they did a catapult challenge within the schools where kids were building little popsicle catapults and having like a competition so you could launch it further. And I was like, if Scott gives me the okay on the 30-day tech thing, there's no reason I couldn't have this go. So in March, we kicked our STEAM challenge where the kids and we worked with our science TOSA, Andrea Parker, and we challenged the students to become engineers through project-based learning and learn about the design and engineer process. We provided them basically everything short of the materials that they would possibly need to do this challenge. So I spent a long time making a lesson plan and a digital work packet that they could use all in Google Docs and put it out through Google Classroom. There were rubrics for critiquing the design. There was rubrics for critiquing if they wanted to have the kids do a presentation. There was a rubric for them to use if they had the kids do a piece of writing on it. So my goal was to basically have everything be as, here you go, format it to how it fits with your kids and go with it. So the competition was between grade level bands, and they could compete against the other students throughout the district as well as in their classroom. And we combined those game design elements with the STEAM standards. And this is another one. It's real interesting. You saw some real interesting catapults. I think there was one that used like not a soup ladle, but the one that has like all the prongs on it for getting pasta, and they were using that. I think there was one that used the toilet plunger. All sorts of weird stuff. But this is clickable here as well, and it'll pull you into our STEAM challenge and the materials that were available to the teachers there.
Okay, what we learned, like we've said, this got teachers doing a lot of work on their own that we have never actually seen. You know, we've put out online learning platforms. We've, put these classes out that are all strictly online, and they didn't get as much play as we'd hoped. Okay, people weren't that interested, but for some reason, this did work. There was a lot of motivation. There was a lot of energy behind it. Teachers really did like this gaming format. The clue worked. It allowed us to play very well to almost all of those gamer types very successfully. The achievers, they're the easiest to hit. Your leaderboard, ooh, I leveled up. Done. We're happy. The socializers, you put teachers in a room together and they're going to start socializing, but also you've got your grade bands because we would try and bring them together. Challenge with that is when we couldn't, when we were having these sub shortages and they said, no, you can only have 2 people from a building at a time. 2 people from a building at a time that has 8 fifth grade teachers. It's really hard to keep that team sort of feeling going. So that was a little bit of a challenge. Again, it boosted our coaching. And we did have teachers begin to start wanting to incorporate game-based elements into their own teaching. Okay?
So this one is teacher feedback on the one-to-one clued into tech.
I want you to think about the gamer types and see if you can pick out which gamer type each one of these is. It was interesting that they were the ones that said, sure, I'll be on a video for your conference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There may have been some clues on some of the people in the last one, too.
Yeah.
I actually felt that it was more interactive. I think having PD a little bit more gamified made it a little bit more interesting.
It gave other teachers opportunities to ask individual questions to the presenters, allowing us to all work at our own pace, which made it really nice and comfortable within the setting.
I liked the interactiveness of it, and the engagement was really high because we had a scenario going on too at the same time. There was a lot of laughter. It was a lot of fun.
I actually really enjoyed the theme, and I thought that it was great that you guys put your pictures in there as well, so that we would remember you guys as some of the clue characters. It also was nice to have the rooms going along with the clue, because then you knew exactly what you needed to do to make that achievement for each clue room.
I liked the different rooms that you could go exploring and do different activities, and each room kind of had like I said, the theme, but I could go to where I was comfortable and go back to it and move around in the rooms, and that was really fun.
It was a story, and it had that through line. It was that ribbon that kept us all the way through and kept interest really high, because it was connected with everything we did. Like we all had sort of a pursuit around characters and investment in them.
I'm a very competitive person, so it actually was fun to be able to get the achievements done and know that you get the little, I know it sounds corny, but anytime you get those little awards, I felt like I had accomplished something. And so it made me feel like I was accomplishing something, even though it was a professional development.
I like to work towards an end goal, and I knew that there was a goal in mind, and so I liked being able to pace myself, accomplish things at a time, and see the little steps along the way, so I could see my progress, I could see the goals I met, and what I needed to get to the end, the finish line.
Most motivating factor within Zunos and the gamification is just that engagement and building upon what you already know. Because you have leaderboards that you can, compare yourself to within your class or within the other educators in the room.
What I found motivating about the use of gamification was that it was really new to me. I typically am a good student, and I just like to learn, take notes. I'm more serious about it, so it kind of got me out of that, like, serious note taker, that kind of thing, and it got me really into the spirit of it. But I think most of all, it really gave me an insight into how kids would really enjoy a format like that.
She's a killer.
I've started using Classcraft, and a lot of them have seen their stats go up and they're able to unlock new features, and it's no longer just here's your task, here turn it in, here's the turn in box, teacher grades it. Now there's a lot more communication going on between the students and the teacher, and opportunities to just open up the experience and bring it to light.
That's really inspired my teaching a lot, because I can see myself doing it now that I've done it, and I can see how engaging it would be for kids.
So, okay, Angela, the very competitive type, what kind of gamer is she? She's an achiever. What else is she? Somebody just said it. She's a killer. I don't know if you noticed, she was in number 1. And she wasn't always in number 1, but the other 2 ladies that were in the top 3, if one of them scored more than her, she would jump on another task so she could dominate that other person. She was cutthroat. Okay, all those people are the kind of people I described at the very beginning. The people that are the early adopters. Angela is one of those that will take it inhale it, digest it, vomit it out, and integrate it into her classroom. That was way too graphic. Okay. And she will integrate. She will try it in her classroom immediately. Okay, so she's one of those that probably any PD on ed tech is going to work for her. Maria, she's very enthusiastic. She'll adopt it a little bit slower. She's a little bit more tedious. Ryan, he obviously took it and tried it. He's sort of one of those younger people that was like, we're not really sure what he's doing, and then suddenly he's doing really great things. He was 17th on the ranking. The achievements, that wasn't what drove him. He actually took the stuff he liked and he started using it. Virginia, remember the person I told you about taking notes? That was Virginia. She was adorable. She was taking notes, but then by the end of the trainings that we had, she was developing her own games. Like, she brought her textbook with her, which was cute. It was just cute. She's making a game of the lesson she's going to do on...
She's going to do a breakout EDU that she's designing on her own based on the dynasties of China.
Dynasties of China, that's what it is.
I don't know if you've ever designed a breakout EDU or particularly know what that is. It's basically a reverse escape room where you're taking the content and you're reading it and digesting it so intensely that you're developing your own clues within that's going to unlock various locks. It is an extremely arduous process. So, and for having never actually done one aside from the first breakout EDU she did with us, it's mind-blowing that she's doing it on her own.
You guys familiar with the breakout EDU? Okay, so you can buy kits, and they come with all the locks and boxes that are inside boxes, and they give you a format for building out a lesson. You can do this with digital tools, you can do it with paper, you can do it with anything. But solving the clues and getting to where you get the information you need to open a lock, to get to the next lock, to get to the next lock. You work with teams, you have people work together, so like he said, an escape room, going backwards. You're breaking in, essentially. It's extremely high energy. It's not as much work to put together as Tyler says, so try it out. You can buy pre-made kits. That's a great picture. Thank you, Tyler. You can buy pre-made kits. You don't need to. You can get weird different kind of locks at any hardware store, spend a whole lot less money. But
people have been developing them into Google Forms. So they'll make a Google site and they'll embed all the documents needed to break out the locks. And then the lock codes will go into a Google form that self-grades and tells them whether or not they got it right.
There are teachers that have developed them.
Answers, though, at the bottom of Google Doc, you can spec the elements. So. I don't know how I know that.
Of course. Thank you, Explorer. What we changed, we didn't get as much of a hit for our killers. We didn't have as big a population of those, so we were concerned about doing competitions directly between players. So that's something that we're going to try and build in the coming year a little bit more. Corporate, I have no idea. Changing the platform that we use to manage it, even if we have to do a little bit more manually. We think that reinforcing, hey, we're a Google district, and we're just going to make sure we keep everything in that rather than this third-party system. I don't know what we were thinking.
And that was one of the questions once we started using Zunos and the teachers were really interested was like, hey, do we have access to this? Can we use this in our classroom? And for this year it was like, unfortunately, no, we can help you develop these tools. So moving forward, using something that they could directly use in their classroom would be nice. Adhering really closely to that gamer type and making sure we're calling it back out. I don't think we followed through as much on that as we could have. And then the very last thing is we want to keep expanding the games that we offer to people, the challenges that we put out. So if you guys have really cool ideas for challenges that we can try with teachers that maybe you have, or puzzles or anything like that, tweet us, email us, catch us, throw it on a Padlet, whatever, we don't care. Yell at us.
Yeah, because now our goal is to not only revamp it, but take those courses, like we said earlier, that were removed from us being able to do the full day sessions, and how can we gamify it and kind of combine it with that 30-day.
All right.
So, real quick, how many staff do you have? Just real
For IT?
Yeah, no, in the whole school, just teachers.
900.
900.
And we have about 1,500 staff.
What percentage?
How many are not buying into it? We've only done the one-to-one, the big portion of it, with just our 5th and 10th grade teachers this year. So that's our next year rollout for one-to-one. That's what we're going with that. Next year we'll be bringing on our 3rd and 4th and the rest of our high schools for one-to-one. And so, yeah.
Compared to last year, the engagement and overall buy-in, while it was gamified, like, it was great. This year we finished, everyone was happy, went their own ways. Last year we had teachers coming in with meeting us and complaining about being gone for the training. So I would say it's been a tremendous success when you look at it in that lens. So.
Yeah. Okay. And the challenge round. What video game sequel that came out 24 years ago just had its final Easter egg discovered? I didn't know this one either.
It like just happened. It was pretty
It just happened. It was so exciting.
Yeah, it was so exciting.
Oh, somebody guessed. 24 years ago.
Doom? Oh, close.
Which one?
Doom 2.
Doom 2. 24 years ago. Thank you. How many people don't know what an Easter egg is? Okay. It's a puzzle or something that's buried in a program, whether a game. I think, does anybody remember the Cragmont Soda Easter egg? Oh my God, I'm really old. I think it was built into WordPerfect or a Claris product, that if you hit a certain key sequence, you would bring up this like slideshow of weird Cragmont soda flavors that they made up, like bacon cherry or something like that, and it would just sort of just go through them and take your screen over. It was wonderful. This is what happens when you let programmers have time that you're not watching them.
You gotta know about the dinosaur game and
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
You
good
gotta
one.
Google recursive, it's great.
Excellent. Questions?
Can you actually see with a monocle?
No, I can't. It was a fake monocle. I didn't have time to go find one at like a antique store.
Too small.
She had one. It was extremely small, and I couldn't wink hard enough on it to keep it in. Yes, I did try. I would have if it would have stayed in, I would have worn it.
I think we're all hanging out for that Easter.
I did not write the lines for the video they're referring to. So if you do see it, it's not my fault.
It was
really
based
isn't.
on the Clue movie trailer.
It was based on the fact she wanted the good lines. Let's go ahead and say it. Other questions, though?
All right.
Thank you.
So,